Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Welcome to the Amateur Otaku Podcast. We are covering My Hero Academia, the manga. If you're an anime only watcher, this is your spoiler warning. We're talking about things that won't happen for at least another 2 seasons in the anime of My Hero Academia. So we'll talk to you guys in 2025. I'm your host today, Present Michael Thomas, the novice cinephile. Joining me, as always, is my co-host and great friend, the hero filled with all the puns, Isaac Wolf. How's it going, Isaac?
I'm tired, but it's otherwise I'm good.
You're not as tired as Deku's gonna be by the time he gets to the battlefield, though, right?
Hmm, good point. Good point.
Again, spoilers for My Hero Academia, Chapter 349, Battle Flame. This chapter is pretty crazy. First off, we had a surprise color cover, which we don't really get that often. Here's a look for you YouTube folks. Not sure why it's flickering like that. Oh well, you read the book, you saw the cover. Bakugo and Best Girl Midako are on the cover here with her
Those
new.
lovely ties.
Gotta love her battle arm. Like, can she shoot explosions? It's like one of Bakugo's gauntlets. I don't know, because he's missing one if you pay attention to that cover. But this chapter picks up where we left off, Isaac. You, Leo, and I were talking about how Deku was going to try and get to this battlefield, and being stranded by water is a bit of a challenge because he can't really fly, right? He's basically using the seventh and the third quirks, which is float and Fajin. So he's floating and then propelling himself with Fajin, like flicking his fingers to create momentum. And there's nothing for him to swing on because he's Spider Man, and there's nothing to grapple onto over the ocean. And this is an interesting chapter to me because it's really just Deku trying to get back to the Baku squad.
Yeah.
And we see him talking to the second user about how he wants to use that quirk, but it's too powerful for him. He can't use it, blah blah blah. And we've talked about this before. What do you think the second's quirk is?
I think it's a all or nothing Kirk that could. I know that you don't. I know that you're not on that team, but I think he could get killed or, at best, in quotation mark, I think he can die or become Kirkless after this one. Going full circle.
I mean, he could.
Due to
I
this, I
I just don't think like again that is very dark for a series like My Hero Academia.
true, true.
I don't know. I'm going to give me 1 second here, and I'm trying to get this cover up because I feel like it's very important. Here it is on Twitter. Can you see it now?
Yeah,
Okay. So in this cover, we see that Mirko has a gauntlet on her hand, much very similar to what Bakugo would wear. We see he's missing one for whatever reason on his hand. The second user, we've kicked this theory around a lot. The second user also wears gauntlets. He looks like Bakugo. Bakugo can propel himself and he can kind of fly with his explosions. Do you think it's the same quirk? Is this like a visual hint that Deku's going to start wearing gauntlets like Kachan and start propelling himself with explosions?
I mean, at this point, who knows? Deku is getting extremely powerful to the point of no return.
Yeah. So the only reason I thought of that because I feel like that's more of a hint. That's more of a hint that we saw Heroes Rising when Bakugo had one for all, and how insanely powerful he was with that quirk. Now throw on 9 more quirks to that, and he's OP.
Kinda.
Yeah. So like I'm wondering if we're hinting towards that. Not that it's time traveling Bakugo, but that maybe one of Bakugo's ancestors is in that quirk and they share a similar ability. That's all
Bakugo
I'm
is
thinking.
getting so pissed if he's getting explosion also. Let's not kid ourselves.
Now that might be why Deku dies at the end of the series. No, but I like in this chapter how Deku, like the vestiges are telling him that he needs to pace himself, right? We don't want him having broken limbs before he gets to Shigaraki. And so it's that much needed restraint that Deku doesn't really have. And I'm glad that these vestiges are kind of guiding him through it. And so I think that works. So we cut back from this chapter, from that scene. We cut back to Asui, Uraraka, and Toga, and confirming something that Leo said last week. Sue did that kick on Toga to kind of get her to shut up about Uraraka's crush on Deku in front of Izuku, which I thought was kind of cute.
Yeah.
But what do you think's good? Like, again, nothing is really happening in this chapter. There's great dialogue, there's great scenes, but it's just Uraraka and Toga staring at each other for the majority of the chapter again. There's no fighting or anything happening just yet. So, like, what do you think's going on here?
If what's the Catwoman's name again?
Which one? Like the Wild Wild Pussycats?
Yeah.
Okay, you're probably thinking of Mandalay.
Mandalay. If she was there, it would be a full-on cat fight, if you get what I mean. But I digress. But it's right that Uraraka and Toga is getting together, all things considered.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's interesting because Toga is like very resistant to Uraraka after their previous confrontation. So like I don't know if this is gonna be like a talk no jutsu where Uraraka talks Toga down, or if Uraraka's just going to have to beat Toga. That's what I'm interested in.
I wouldn't be surprised with neither, if I'm being completely honest.
Neither? What do you
mean? Both with either. I mean, sorry.
Either. Gotcha.
Either.
Okay. Yeah, it could be a bit of both. I mean, again, that's the Naruto special, right? Of you beat the crap out of somebody and then you talk to them and make them remember the error of their ways. That's what he did with Pain. That's what he did with Obito. All those guys. Zabuza, Hafu.
Or become their friends. Like Dragon Ball.
Yep. Or become best friends like in Dragon Ball. So I think this is again, not a lot is happening. There's great dialogue. I still thoroughly enjoyed reading this chapter. But then we get into the last 5 or 6 pages of this chapter, right? And things start to turn.
You can say it's heating up.
Yeah. Things are getting really, really hot on this battlefield. Battle Flame is the title of this chapter. Also, unrelated, I just want to circle back again. Why are Mirako and Bakugo on this cover if they're not in this chapter?
Those ties, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're 2 of the most popular characters in the series, so I get it from that standpoint. I just think it's funny how they weren't on like last week's cover or the week before, but they're on this one. Maybe he was late with the art. I don't know. Horikoshi's a busy man. But as we progress, we see Ingenium, Dabi, 2 of Endeavor's sidekicks, Shoto and Burnin. And again, this is really dialogue heavy, and we're seeing that Shoto is here alone. Dabi's not really excited about that. He wanted Endeavor to be here. I feel like we as fans want Endeavor to be here with this confrontation between Shoto and Toya. like I assume next chapter is going to be like the origin story for the villain Dabi, right? We had
Yeah.
last year in the last war, Dabi telling us his quote unquote origin of why how he survived, why he's alive, why he's here to attack Endeavor, but we don't really know much else. And so I feel like he's going to tell us what happened to him after he nearly died or how he survived that fire. And that's exciting, right? We waited at least a year for this conversation when we revealed Dabi was a Todoroki. We've waited multiple years to get proper background on him. Like, were you excited to see that that's the direction we're going for like the next chapter or two, focusing on the Todorokis? I know you're a big fan of that storyline.
Well, I'm just saying one. Finally. Two. Finally. And the three. Is it just me, or is Dabi starting to, well, decay or whatever you want to call it? I mean, look at his thieves in the chapter.
Yeah, you see in the final page of this chapter, you see almost like his he lost his jaw, right? His jaw is falling off. And
Yeah.
I mentioned this last, I think it was last episode, of this is why I feel like Shoto is not going to have a big issue fighting him as far as power goes, because his flames do more damage to himself than it does to anybody else around him. And I feel like he's just starting to fall apart, right? He's stapling his skin back onto his body, and he's burning himself. And I don't know how in a battle of endurance can he really take on Ingenium, those sidekicks, Burnin, and Todoroki Shoto.
I
I don't
don't
know how
know.
long he'd last.
It depends on if he's the traditional "I'm going to take you down with me" kind of thing. He just doesn't care, so he's just going all out. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Burnin as a character, and I like Tenya Ida. So I'm really excited to see what they do, but I feel like they're just going to be fighting Nomu in the background while we focus on Tavi and Shoto, which is cool, I guess. I don't know. It's again, not much has changed from last week, so there's not much commentary I can give on what we want to see. But with My Hero going on break for a week, we won't have a chapter for the next 14 days. I feel like that usually when Horikoshi takes a break, it leads into something major.
Yeah.
I remember one of the last times he took a break, we had Vigilante Deku, right? So
Yeah, I believe so.
discounting like the holiday breaks and stuff, like when My Hero goes on break, it usually comes back really strong, and I feel like that's why we're kind of leaning into that Todoroki angle, because that's going to take up the bulk of the next round of chapters, probably the next 4 or 5, I'd say.
Yeah, and it's just I didn't notice that it's gonna be a break, and I'm
maybe we'll have some filler content to talk about why it's on break, because there is so much going on here that I don't I don't really want to pause, because I want Deku to, I want to see what happens with the Baku squad as they're fighting Shigaraki. What's going on with the pro heroes as they fight all for one? How far away is Deku? How long is it going to take for him to get there? It's a lot going on. We are reaching, like, I know we keep saying we're in the final arc, the final act, blah blah blah, but it really feels like we're reaching the climax of the story, and you're going to take 2 weeks off before I can find out what's happening.
I mean, if you need a break, yeah, take the break, guys. Let's say.
Oh, definitely. We definitely aren't trying to force Horikoshi to come back and overwork himself, I should say. If he needs to take a month off, that is fine. We just want this to be the best ending it can possibly be, because that's how much we love My Hero Academia. That's why we're here talking about it for an hour every freaking week, even when the anime's on break.
Yeah, and but it's a good show, so why shouldn't we? In this case, the manga, so why shouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, just look at this chapter, man. It is gorgeous. Like every panel with Toga, Shoto, Dabi, it is just incredible. And so even when it's a slower chapter like this one, just like looking at the art of Deku and the two users, the two quirks that he's using, seeing the bird in the distance gave me real Attack on Titan vibes, by the way, but that's another show.
Yeah, which is unfortunately on break until next week.
Yeah, there's no Attack on Titan for you guys this week, but that's okay. You guys have plenty of other stuff on the channel that you can look forward to, and some more content that we are probably going to get in its place. So you'll check that out this week. But yeah, Isaac, I don't have much more to add on this chapter of My Hero Academia. It was fun, but do you have anything else?
It was. It's like we burned through this entire chapter.
We burned through the entire thing. Ladies, gents, that was My Hero Academia 349 Battle Flame. We are on break with the My Hero Academia main series. You're still going to have My Hero Academia Vigilantes and whatever else that we decide to cover here on the Amateur Otaku Podcast. Also, while we're on break, this might be a good chance for you to check out the Chatter After. That's our film, TV, video game podcast where we're talking. We've done The Last of Us, we've done Joker, Sonic the Hedgehog, and The Godfather. If you guys are into that. Isaac was not a fan of The Godfather, but you can find out why. I'm pretty sure Isaac can just link that playlist in the description for you guys to check out while we're on break with My Hero. Isaac.
Well, well, if you're going to do the plugs, well, you can find me on Twitter at Doublemaniac and my work at Vobam Entertainment and the pod over at Amateur Otaku Pod.
Awesome. You can find me at Novice Cinephile everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, anywhere, just anywhere. Novice Cinephile. Except for Instagram, it's the Novice Cinephile because somebody stole my name. Don't ask. And for our co-host Brandon Alvarado, you can find him at the Scarlet Fan 52 just about anywhere you'd like. And with that, we will catch you guys next time with more My Hero Academia. Until then, go beyond.
Plus Ultra.
Plus Ultra.